Artificial slabs jut from the earth's ravaged soil. Row after row, column after column, edifices have been erected equidistantly from each other. The once resplendent skyline has been sliced to shreds by these man-made monuments. A series of identical square bricks comprise these colorless superstructures. Blinding and buzzing fluorescent lights ensure that the bricks retain their rigid forms. There is no blurring or in-between. It is all lifeless material. Look at this landscape long enough and you may begin to believe that it is more than an illusion. Superimposed over this soulless expanse are the private worlds of dreamers. A pair of eyes paint over the bleak landscape with vibrant watercolors. Edges overlap, colors blend. Oceanic blues seep through verdant greens while the hues of the sunset soften the previously impermeable towers of slate. Trees rise from the rejuvenated earth. Emerald vines embrace the color-dyed towers. Mercifully, a blanket of darkness lowers onto the sun-scorched land. Shadows dim the lines that divide until they fade to indistinction. This is but one of many ecstatic visions which elevate this dreary shit heap to an ethereal paradise. Your own eyes may see it differently. Look at how big my text is. It's comically large.
It's more than comically large. That's astronomically large. Blorbilon maximus large, if you will.
It's for my double vision. Whenever I read small text, my eyes get sleepy and my double vision gets worse. You'll understand when you're older.
Really? You're like 4 years older than me.
Listen, kid, 4 years can be a lifetime.
Whatever, crone. That does suck about your eyes, though.
It's kind of fitting. It's like I know how most people see the world, yet I see my own version at the same time. That's kind of what it's like to be queer, you know? In one eye, I see the world the sissies live in. In the other, I see the world I live in as a queer person. And guess what? The images don't line up.
I think I know what that's like, but I don't know.
You might know more than you think.
Well, there's definitely something going on with me. Some wild stuff happened last night.
Oh? Was gender afoot?
I think so, but it's kind of embarrassing.
Embarrassing how?
It may involve Scooby-Doo.
Let me guess. The Hex Girls?
No, though they might have made my sister bisexual.
What about that body swap scene from the live action one? That had more cultural impact than the entire Godfather trilogy.
That's a good guess, but it was ghoul school, actually.
Ah, yes. It always comes back to ghoul school.
Last night, me and my sister were feeling nostalgic, so we decided to watch it. At first, it went exactly how I expected. The setup of a school for monsters is cute, the character designs are cool, and it's one of those ones where Shaggy wears red for some reason.
Yeah, I never got that whole red Shaggy thing. But what happened with you?
Okay. So there's this moment where we're introduced to one of the students at the school. A blue ghost named Phantasma floats onto the screen. She's got a blue shirt, white boots, and this gimmick of a laugh. Something about this moment sent my soul 3 feet behind me. I grabbed my sister's arm and I told her, "Listen, you don't understand. That's me. That's me." I felt fucking ridiculous. I was having some epiphany over a cartoon. Not just any cartoon, mind you, but it was Scooby fucking Doo.
Oh, sure. Blame it on the dew. You've been talking about these feelings for months.
Yeah, but this was impossible to ignore. Honestly, I'm starting to feel like I'm losing it.
Do you think I've lost it?
Of course not. You're actually trans.
And what are you, exactly?
I wish I knew.
Apparently, trans people like me are living in a fantasy. Meanwhile, the collective fantasy of cis people is mistaken for an objective reality. My perspective and their perspectives are impossible to reconcile. Aligning my reality with their fantasy would require the eradication of my being. As such, I can never be a part of their world. I think that's why I try to avoid being the only trans person at a gathering. I don't like feeling cis people's eyes crawling up and down my skin. Being seen by them hurts because they'll never see me. I'd much rather rest in the shade with my fellow fruits. That's much easier said than done, unfortunately. Sometimes I can suppress my social anxiety and attend local events, but usually I'm a recluse. I often turn to online spaces for some semblance of connection. For many of us, especially those of us who live in areas that are hostile to queer people, online spaces are the only way to escape the suffocating atmosphere of the cisgender world. In I Am Dogs, a kinetic novel written by Puppy Girl Belly, the protagonists are part of an online message group comprised of Therians, plural systems, and pronoun havers. As the protagonists undergo a series of self-discoveries, they're supported by that chat group every step of the way. The story begins with a woman named Sunny realizing that she is transgender. When she comes out to her trans friend, they respond with excitement and some lighthearted teasing. This is an appropriate response to someone coming out. Unfortunately, as most of us know, this kind of immediate acceptance is rare. Our coming out is usually met with some less than appropriate responses from the people in our lives. Family and friends often fail us. During such difficult times, it can make all the difference to have other trans people to turn to. Little does Sunny know, she has more realizations to uncover. Shortly after coming out as trans, she realizes that she is Therian as well. The story defines a Therian as someone who identifies with another animal species from Earth. In Sunny's case, she's a golden retriever. Fortunately, she has her chat group of friends to help her navigate this change in self-conception. Troubles arise when Sunny leaves her online oasis. She steps out into the cis world, which we sometimes erroneously refer to as the real world. At this point, she's still early in her transition, so she's understandably anxious about how she appears to people. Compounding her anxiety is the fact that people will assume that she's human. When she passes by someone on a park trail, she thinks to herself, being seen so plainly and suddenly makes me aware of what I look like, what I feel like. Well, a man in a dress and lipstick, skipping like a child. But most of all, a human. It's hard to exist in a society that conflates the external with the internal. Though there are some communities that will truly recognize you, most people will only see your shell of flesh and the bones that lie beneath. It's isolating. How can you establish connections with people who are unable to see you for who you are? When I interviewed Puppy Girl Belly, they talked about how difficult it was to go from an online space that was affirming to a physical space that was alienating.
We suddenly found ourselves going from staying at home, spending almost all of our time talking in queer communities online, to suddenly being in a real life space all the time. And unfortunately, our workplace is very cisgendered, very heterosexual. So I'm now the one trans person in the office among like maybe 3 or 4 more queer people who all of whom are a generation or 2 older than me. So it's been very hard to like connect with people in real life. We're hoping soon that we would be able to spend even more time in more real life queer spaces and being able to make more friends who we don't have to talk to solely through the computer and stuff.
I definitely get where she's coming from. For me, nothing can replace in-person interaction. However, social platforms can provide us with new ways of communicating. The benefits go far beyond just bridging the physical distance. What I find most exciting are instances where technology and self-expression intersect. For example, plural systems on Discord might use proxied messages to help indicate who is saying what. Before we proceed, we should probably go over what plurality means. Twilight, a character in I Am Dogs, defines plurality as when more than one individual with agency exists within the same body, which is called a system. Individuals who exist in the same system are sometimes referred to as headmates. As the story progresses, Sunny realizes she is also part of a plural system. In order to illustrate the experience of being plural, Puppy Girl Belly employed some formatting magic. Let's start with the simplest of these tricks, which is changing the text color to differentiate between headmates. Sunny's thoughts are represented with yellow text. Sunny's headmate, a wolfhound named Gold, also has their own text color. Let's all take a moment to imagine what color Gold's text is. Besides the colored text, Sunny and Gold's plurality is expressed in a plethora of ways. My favorite example is where both of their thoughts are laid out side by side at the same time. The next page then expands upon this visual idea by placing their shared thoughts down the center. It's an incredibly satisfying mix of visual technique and storytelling. For me, that's part of what makes I Am Dogs so appealing. It pairs eye-catching presentation with a thoughtful story of self-discovery.
If someone says, how did you realize you were trans? Or, oh, how did you realize you're dogs? It's like, look, there's a story I wrote about it right over there. It's also very good to be able to have something you can point to and just counteract the damage. Like, no, Mom, I'm not Buffalo Bill. This is not the funhouse version you've seen on TV. This is the actual real thing.
I think I'm going to start a YouTube channel.
Hey, while you're at it, get a sledgehammer, take a whack at your balls. It'd be just about as fun with less time commitment.
I'm serious. I don't know if I'm trans or what, but I know what I'm not. I've had a lot on my mind, and writing videos about it might be good for me.
I mean, it might be good for you. Taking the chaos of your life and arranging it into art can be cathartic. I have to ask, though, who's this for? Who's your target audience?
Family and friends, I guess. I want to help them get it, you know?
Will they ever really get it?
It's better than nothing.
I just don't want you to make the same mistakes. For my first videos, I tried so hard to be understood by cis people. I took time away from making movies and music to try and educate people who are never gonna get it.
But I'm sure trans people watch them too. It's really helped me to see videos by trans people who look and sound like I do. I never saw myself in trans celebrities, but I do see myself in ordinary trans people. I don't have any trans friends in real life, so I need to see myself wherever I can, even if it's just a YouTube video.
I did have a friend tell me how much my videos helped her. For a second, all of it was worth it.
Maybe it's presumptuous, but what if I could be that for people too?
Just make sure you're doing this for yourself.
Certain groups are inherently represented in mainstream gaming, and other people obviously want to see themselves and should be able to see themselves in those ways. There are so many people out there with so many stories to tell. I want to see all of that. I don't want to just see like that same sort of subset.
Sloan C, a narrative designer and independent game developer, has her own story to tell. Her kinetic novel, This Is You, is about as autobiographical as it gets. It recounts the past events of her life to the best of her ability. More specifically, it centers around the early stages of her social and medical transition.
I put this out in 2014, which honestly feels like a literal lifetime ago, not just for me, but like in the landscape of things. Being trans is nothing new, but like there wasn't as much. So I just want to put this out like, hey, this is like a really raw account of sort of this journey to realize who I am.
Needless to say, there's some highs and lows on that journey. She decided that the first person she'd come out to was her best friend. Before she could bring herself to say it, she imagined the worst. When her friend returned to town that summer, she finally let them know who she is. They accepted her. She cried tears of joy. Time passed. She came out to someone else. Yet again, she found acceptance. As Sloan C puts it, the fact that you have an actual ally close by is the biggest reassurance to you that you've had in a long time. In May, the two of you go to a mall to go shopping for some clothes. 2 years into my transition, I made a new friend who had come out recently. Prior to making her acquaintance, I had no trans friends. If there's some kind of soul in this body, then surely that soul was deprived. I jumped at the chance to be known by someone who would actually understand. I suggested we could do some gender-affirming activities like thrift shopping or robbing a bank. She had just come out, so extending the invitation seemed like the proper response. That's just what people do when someone comes out, right? I guess that's why I underestimated the impact of my actions. For me, taking her thrifting was a small gesture. For her, it was some much-needed support during a vulnerable time. Our excursion was similar to how Sloan C describes her own shopping trip. She helps you pick out cute clothes, she says everything you try on looks cute, and nothing bad happens with any of the people in the store or workers. You feel great like you haven't in a long time. These kinds of experiences can give us some much-needed hope for the future. After being accepted by a few of her friends, Sloan C recalls thinking to herself, maybe you can actually talk to your parents and things will go well. Throughout the novel, Sloan C relates the story to the reader in a conversational manner. Instead of decorating her sentences with ornate embellishments, she writes each line with a lowercase casualness. You won't find any frills here. The informal style imbues the story with a sense of intimacy. Appropriately, the story's presentation is also stripped to the essentials. Stark, white text is etched into the blackest of backgrounds. Pages are rarely longer than a sentence. Sometimes sentences are split into even smaller segments for emphasis. What remains is only what's necessary. The story's all there. What more do you really need? At several points in the story, there are strategically placed page breaks. They maximize the impact of certain moments. One page might serve as a setup, while the next provides the payoff. There's an especially effective page break when our protagonist comes out to her mom. The first page reads, "You take a deep breath, and just about sobbing, you come out to her, hoping for the best." In order to see her mother's response, the reader has to proceed to the next page. I remember bracing myself before clicking the mouse. On the next page, the protagonist's mom simply says,
"Faces I once knew well reveal facets both new and strange. I'm relaxed, totally settled in for an ordinary evening with Scooby-Doo. And then she floats in. Suddenly, I am torn away from the comfort and security of a familiar film and catapulted headfirst into the unknown. I had identified very strongly with Phantasma's design, that much was undeniable. I had stumbled upon some personal truth which even now is beyond my full understanding, and I just had to accept that there were aspects about myself that are yet to be discovered. I'm nervous about telling my parents.
I don't blame you. It's a big thing to worry about.
I keep thinking about how other people's parents have reacted.
Your parents have never been like other parents. Maybe they'll take it well.
Maybe. What's killing me is the uncertainty of it all. I don't know what my future is or who's going to be a part of it. I don't even know if I'll be the same person. I've never felt that before. For most of my life, I've had a strong sense of self. I'm a filmmaker, musician, sibling, child, partner. This is the first time I'm unsure of who I am.
Things will be hard for now, but you'll figure it out. I know you will.
But when? I don't know how much longer I can handle this. I've been losing sleep for months now.
How about this? I watched a video you made, so what if you watch a video I made? It'll be about all the reasons why things will be fine.
How could you know that?
Do a Crone a favor. Watch the video. Hi, Rooney Rune, or should I say, Sylvester. For you, it's still 2019, which is a pretty rough time for you. I would know. You still feel a need to keep yourself a secret. Only your sister and your partner have the privilege of knowing you. Everybody else just has tickets to the show. And maintaining that charade puts you under a considerable strain. You're a heavenly angel who wears a heavy halo and unwieldy wings of stone. No one notices the lack of light behind your eyes. Your owners keep your preserved corpse inside a glass case. Whenever there's a gathering, they drag the doll out of its display, change its clothes, comb its hair, and applies some foundation to hide the putrefaction. It attends any social event with a smile. When it experiences discomfort, it drinks and hides behind the stupor. No one will ever know it because it will never let itself be known. Thankfully, those good old days will come to an end. You'll change, though some may wish you'd stayed the same. They'll prefer the doll that neglected its needs. Why don't you be like the angels who tread with silent steps, they may ask. How could you smash that glass case? You should be grateful. We made it for you. If you've spent your whole life living solely to serve others, your newfound self-respect will be seen as selfishness. Your previous owners will wish they'd cut your limbs off when they'd had the chance. By then, it'll be too late. You'll have become an aberration. The longer the neighbors gaze upon your unknowable shape, the more their reality will bend and break. Every breath you take will taint their saintly air. Every step will shake the earth with infernal rumblings. Those who thought they knew you will have no idea what you're capable of. Nothing is sacred to you, after all. Who knows what depths you'll sink to? The neighbors will try to cordon you off before you can contaminate others. Weeds like you have a way of spreading, they'll think to themselves. If you just go away, things will go back to normal. Normal is good. Our lawns will be immaculate. We'll pluck those pesky weeds and they'll never, ever come back. Before they know it, there'll be dandelions adorning their yard again, and all the while they'll curse the flowers for bringing color to their cul-de-sac. When you can set aside your pettiness, you almost feel pity. They'll go their whole lives knowing something is missing, yet they'll never know what it is. It'll be tempting to fixate on what the neighbors have to say, but it's better to focus on the ones you love. You'll start surrounding yourself with people you can actually be yourself around. There'll be meals to share, hands to hold, and lips to taste. When the tears inevitably come, there'll be arms to cradle you close. Eventually, you'll stop crying out of self-pity and start crying out of gratitude. There'll be times where you break out in tears because you've never felt this loved and supported. You'll have found solace in your sisterhood of whores. Transitioning won't fix everything, and it certainly won't cure your mental illness. You'll spend years in self-imposed seclusion. Your anxiety will be as exhausting as ever. And even when your mind's at ease, you'll still be under a constant barrage of brain static. You'll always be somewhere else. While some things will get worse, others will get unbelievably better. Despite the static, you'll start to experience rare moments of clarity. One day, you'll feel a breeze against your skin. The next, a bass drum will thump in your chest. You'll hear the piano play while you rest your chin upon her head. In all those microscopic moments, the static will subside. You'll finally feel what it's like to be present, if only for a second. You'll also be more in tune with your body. After a decade of ignoring your body's signals, you'll learn how to be more receptive to its needs. You'll eat when you're hungry, you'll rest when you're weary. You'll stop doing what feels wrong and embrace what feels right. It'll feel like your body belongs to you. Now it's just a burden you're buried in, but soon it'll be a sculpture enlivened by the breath of self-creation. Even your voice will be transfigured. You'll convey the contents of your heart and mind with the voice that you created. You'll have every reason to be proud of yourself, but you won't be. Several people in your life will tell you that you're an inspiration. You won't understand why. While you'll appreciate the affirmations, you won't believe them yourself. From your perspective, all you'll have done to earn their admiration was exist. It'll occur to you that maybe existing is enough. You'll have somehow lived to see your 30th birthday. It might be ridiculous, but you'll feel ancient. At the same time, it'll feel like you're just starting to figure things out. It'll be as frightening as it is exciting. Every single day will bring an onslaught of new developments. The thought of tomorrow will often be too overwhelming to consider. There'll be times you wish you were dead, but your will to live will win in the end. You'll realize that you want to stick around and see the person that you'll become. Maybe you'll be a virtuous hero or a notorious villain. It won't matter who you end up being as long as it's someone you love. That may seem unlikely, and I certainly understand. Nothing I could say would ever sink in. I've come to accept that. Regardless, I want to tell you everything that I am unable to tell myself. I might never be grateful for myself, but I'll always be grateful for you. I might never be proud of myself, but I'll always be proud of you. I might never have love for myself, but I'll always have love for you. Thank you. I would like to thank all of my patrons for their support and patience, especially the patrons of the Cryptid Commune. Alex Harris, Christina Ienni, Lily Marks, Brandan Ray, Mackenzie Schweikert, and Pete Schweikert. I would also like to thank Puppy Girl Belly and Sloan C for being in the video. Lastly, a big thanks to all of you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.